Appreciate y'all being here. Obviously, to open this thing up, our challenge and our charge to our football team has quickly turned to, as it did Saturday night locker room, for this week, to Friday afternoon for us to play our best football game that we played all year long. And that's always going to be a challenge, and that's always the focus for the week, is to play your best game that you played all year long. Saw glimpses of that the other night, especially early, and it's going to be a great challenge for us to do that this Friday afternoon. And it's been a rough 3 years on our football team, our football program, our fans. People that love this program, care so much about it. Last 3 years, there hadn't been a lot to cheer about. And my vision as a head football coach here, the acting head football coach, as a former Razorback, a native Arkansan, my vision for Friday afternoon is for us to put aside the last 3 years and for us to unite for 3.5 hours on Friday afternoon in Little Rock, for us to have a moment as a program, as one Razorback across the state, our fans that care so much about our program, our football players, our staff, the young men that put so much time and effort to getting ready to play football games. It hasn't gone the way that we wanted it to go. But for Friday afternoon, we have an opportunity playing an SEC game and a very worthy opponent, Missouri, Friday afternoon, for us to rally together, unite our fans and our football team to create an atmosphere that we'll all be proud of, and hopefully a product that we'll all be proud of on Friday afternoon.
Barry, I know you're probably not going to tell us anything on quarterback. You got to ask, what's the status with KJ and Nick, and you got a lot of oars on the depth chart.
Yeah, we do, and that's legitimate. I mean, we're not trying to, play games or anything. It's just we're still evaluating those guys. I think that's going to be a day-to-day, hour-to-hour situation right now. A short week creates a little bit more challenge than that. We're on the field this evening, as what is our Monday. It's really a Tuesday as we stand here today. And so I think we'll know a little bit more tomorrow about where this is heading, as far as their evaluation and what we expect for them to be ready or who not to be ready.
Yeah, Barry, Missouri's lost, I think, 5 in a row. They haven't won away from home yet. Kind of what's your take on them? Because they're obviously still going through a rough patch as well.
Yeah, they have, and they've lost some very close football games, competitive, physical football games. This is a physical football team. I think they take on the identity of their head coach, as a former linebacker and tough competitor. You can see that on both sides of the ball in special teams. They're very physical. That's the way they take the field. That's the way they play. Obviously they've had some issues and some challenges on the road. So have we. We've had our challenges at home as well. And so we know with what's at stake, they still got potential, I believe, is, they could get it to their 6th win, which would put them in qualified for a bowl. I mean, I think there's some things that they're still working through there that I don't even know about, but the fact that it's a rivalry game, there's a trophy on the line. Obviously, they've got a lot to play for as well.
Hey, Barry, if Jack Lindsey were to start, he'd be the 5th quarterback starter this year. What's it like kind of going through that, and what did you like out of what you saw of him on tape and what he did in that game the other night?
Yeah, it's been a strange year, for that. I mean, obviously, it's and really, to be honest with you, I mean, some of that has been a reflection just of the status of our team. It's kind of been a microcosm a little bit that we've just been inconsistent in a lot of areas, and all those guys have shown flashes. When they've got their opportunity is where you could validate their opportunity to start, with some of the things they've done during the course of the even games, the opportunities they've been given. As far as Jack goes, I mean, I've known Jack obviously for a long time, and kind of he's that guy that just kind of stays in the corner and stays quiet. Now, listen, he's not quiet, but he's got a lot of personality, and our players really gravitate toward him. But he just knows what's going on. He just knows where to go with the ball. He knows the offense in and out. He's kind of got the it factor when it comes to those types of things. He just is kind of a football junkie, really high football IQ. And it was good to see him to go in, and his first action really ever in a game at quarterback, I thought he handled it very well, extremely well, and we were obviously very excited. I was happy for him. I know that was a cool moment for him.
Aside from the quarterbacks, is there anybody else who's banged up that was questionable for this game?
Well, we're still evaluating Buster. You know, we were without him last week. We think he's on the road to recovery. D.D. Edwards was out, wasn't able to travel with us last week. Those two guys are on the road to recovery. Davion Warren, I think, is potentially going to be available this week. So we've got a few guys that are on the mend for sure.
As far as Jack, would you be comfortable starting him?
Absolutely.
This mumps things that the university released a statement on today. We understand there's some football players who've been affected. How are you going to handle that, and what do you think?
I'm going to coach football. That's how I'm going to handle it. I'm going to just lead our team and get us ready to play on Friday. You know, we've obviously released a statement. It's not a situation where there's, you know, any kind of, panic or anything like that. It's just something that we're having to deal with. We're dealing with it. Obviously, our care and our health of our players and our staff is always at a premium.
Right.
It'll continue to be that way. But I'm just going to continue to coach football and get our guys ready to play Friday.
I know you can't talk about names because of the laws, but there are football players who've been affected by this.
Well, we know that just based on the release that there's players, students here that have been exposed to that. So as far as the diagnosis and those types of things, we're being very proactive and giving our guys the best immunization or optimal health that we can give them.
Barry, do you remember, did you have the mumps as a kid? You ever had them?
No, I did chicken pox twice though.
I think you get it again.
Oh, no, I can't. I got the chicken pox. I think not a third time. I do have the chicken pox twice. I don't remember what age I was, but I had them once and I had them again. But no, I don't think I had the mumps.
I had the mumps as a, so I think I'm okay. Hey,
But now it's all making sense, Bob.
Yeah, obviously, Mizzou has 3 Fayetteville kids. I assume you are familiar with them. Just kind of what do you think about that? What do you think about them as players? And I guess maybe you recruited some of them.
Yeah, sure. Very aware of all 3 of those guys and the type of football players they are. They've all made a very significant contribution there to Missouri. Obviously, I think that's a little bit unique, a little bit strange, probably for them as well. You know, they grew up under the nose here of our program. Obviously, they had got some pretty strong connections to our program. Fortunately, it didn't work out to get them here in this program. And I think they made the best of their opportunity that this laid out before them, and have taken advantage of their experience there and have done some good things. And all 3 good kids, all 3 got to know them and their families. And obviously, always root for them, obviously, except for this game.
Barry, obviously not a long history of the Missouri series, but now it's the trophy game, it's the season ender, and it's something that needs to build. What's your take on just the rivalry with these guys and how you feel about that?
Well, it is new. I think the first thing that sticks out to me, like I told the team, there's not anybody on our football team that's beaten Missouri. Now, there was a few guys that were red shirts in 15 when we played them out here in that miserable weather that saw us, win that trophy. But there is not one player on our team that has beaten them, and so that's a rivalry. That's got to mean something to you. And like I told our guys, listen, there's a lot to play for. Even though the people are going to say there's not a lot to play for. Human nature says that there's not a lot. You're 2-9. It's the last game of the year. You've got an interim coaching situation. We don't have a lot to play for. I would beg to differ. We laid out a lot of things. Here's the deal. I'll lay them out for you. First of all, it's 1 of 12 games. You work all year round for 12 games. Shoot, you can't get ready to play when you go all summer, all winter, 6 a.m. workouts. And you can't get ready to play 1 of your 12 games? Well, okay, we could stop there, in my opinion. But then there's a lot of layers on top of that. We're at home in Little Rock, playing an SEC game. Hadn't won an SEC game since 2011 in Little Rock. Shoot, there's a lot to get ready for right there. Seniors, it's your last go around. The senior day that they had a few weeks ago is something that they'll never want to remember. And we're going to give those guys an opportunity to have a redo. Now, we're not going to do the dog and pony show, but we're going to acknowledge them. It's important that they get acknowledged and we get a chance to do this senior night or this senior day over again. That's important for me and for them. So then you got seniors. It's their last go-around. That's a lot to play for. If you care about these seniors, you'll go all in on this game. Okay? We've lost 18 straight SEC games. We've lost 18 straight SEC games. 7 of those have been by 1 score. 7 have been by 1 score or less. So we got a chance to, the last game of this tough season, got a chance to break that streak, to me, that sounds like there's a whole lot to play for. And that's not me trying to convince our guys of that. Those are just the facts. And pick out whatever one of those ones you want to pick, and let's get ready to go play. Because I know Missouri's going to be ready to play, and I feel confident that we're going to be ready to play as well on Friday afternoon. I could probably think of a few more, but those are just the ones on the top of my head.
Gary, what do you remember about Jonathan Nance's time here? He had the one really good season, then didn't do much, and then he went in the portal. And do you guys have to change your signals or anything just because Nance would be familiar with calls?
Golly, that seems like a long time ago. He was a part of our program. I mean, it really does. There's been a lot of things changed since that point in time. Obviously, it's one of those situations where this isn't he's either playing for us or playing for them situation. If his eligibility would have already expired, if he would have maintained, basically playing with us. And so I don't remember a lot. I mean, John did some good things for us. He did. I mean, he made some plays. The most obvious thing I remember is the Texas A&M game. Is he got behind A&M a couple times, made some big plays. I guess that would have been in 16. Is that right? I think 2016 or 17. 17, yeah. In 17, he got behind him a couple times. Broke the 100-yard mark, I think, receiving. A good player. There's no doubt. And I know he's done some really good things for Missouri. And this. In football, in the recruiting circles, and geographically, when you're this close together, I mean, you're going to play people on the other team that you know and you're familiar with, whether it's a high school teammate or, and now it's becoming more common for it to be a college teammate via the transfer portal. So it's not necessarily groundbreaking or shattering news that we're playing, a guy that used to play for us. And so, we wish him the best and have always been rooting for him, except when we play against him.
And do you guys have to change anything?
I don't anticipate us having to make many major changes. We've evolved a little bit even since he's left, and so I don't anticipate that being an issue.
Barry, has there been anything that you guys have mixed up just to kind of change the mojo, whether it's something simple or maybe the food that you're eating or?
Yeah, we've done a lot. Yeah, we've done a lot of that. We changed up a lot of things, including some meals, some meeting structure, practice flow, and things. I've tried to just, intentionally mix it up for them, just psychologically, and for me, I wanted to put my blueprint or my handprint, fingerprint on it. I had some ideas of some things that that I would want to do and change, and I've implemented those. They haven't been drastic, but I think they've been noticeable to our players. And one of the things we talked about, and I told them the first day I stood in front of them, is that we wanted to have some fun. I said, there's going to be some changes that I think you're going to enjoy, and just go with them. And so they've been great. They've been great, and we got even a short week causes some more changes this week. And so, but yeah, we've done some things here and there from a motivational standpoint, from a team meeting standpoint that are different. I think they enjoyed it when we had Popeyes the other day. We had I enjoyed it. I know that. I think they did too. So just some small changes like that I think that has been refreshing to them.
So obviously Arkansas wanted Kelly Bryant, visited here and everything. Just what the reasons you wanted him as a quarterback, and kind of how has he evolved at Missouri?
Well, I think the drawing point there was obviously Chad's relationship with him previously, and his experience as an incumbent starter at Clemson. That made him very attractive to a lot of programs. But obviously, I think the relationship there gave us a leg up as far as being in his final 2 or 3 or however it was. I don't know, but I didn't really get to know him that well. He came on as official during a game weekend, and then had one opportunity as a staff. We went to go see him back home where he was at, and got to know him, for a few hours during that period of time. But I was really kind of a bystander in that, just kind of observed from a distance on how we interacted with him. And so, obviously he ended up picking the spot that he felt was best for him, and here we go. We're going to play against him on Friday.
How has he performed there, or just how do you see his performances?
Well, I mean, I think he's done some good things. There's no doubt about that. I hadn't had a chance to study him quite as much as I had last week with LSU and seen him on TV, and I've seen him on spots here or there, but he's obviously a very dangerous quarterback. I mean, he can beat you with his arm, and he can beat you with his legs. And so anytime a quarterback can do that, it creates a challenge. And so he's a playmaker. There is no doubt about that. He's a playmaker. He's got a good cast around him. And so it'll be a great challenge for us on Friday.
Mary, you mentioned at your initial press conference last Monday that Arkansas's been in SEC championship games. It can be done here. The next coach, what does he have to do? What are the key parts to build Arkansas football back to winning division, competing for championships?
Well, I mean, I think I think there's a lot of things, that need to be done. I think you have to recruit. Obviously that's always the deal. I mean, you got to recruit. I think that more than that, it's evaluation and developmental. I think those are critical aspects of that. You got to recruit. You got to swing hard. You got to tighten up your radius. I think Chad had a really good plan and model in that regard. Tighten up your radius. But at the end of the day, you better evaluate and you better develop them. And that's really critical here. It always has been. You got to start with a tight radius and identify those players that you think can help you win games, whether it's immediately or 3 years down the line. You have to go get them. You have to go all out and do everything you can to get those guys that are close in proximity, especially the guys inside this borders. You got to get them, and you got to beat the bushes for them, because there's some out there that you got to just dig a little deep for. And then you start spreading that out a little bit. You go out to your radius where it's 3 to 5 hours. Obviously in Texas and East Texas and DFW, those are important areas. But it's about recruiting. And when I say that, it's not about the splash of signing day. Is that good? Sure, it is. But it's about getting it right. I think that's the critical part there is you got to get it right. You got to evaluate, and then you got to develop. And if you'll do that steadily, there's enough around here if you get the right guys to build it. You got to coach them up. Part of development is coach them up, obviously. And but yeah, you got to have somebody who's got a plan and knows how to do that, and just build it slowly and surely and steadily, and create a foundation there with those guys that are close in proximity that identify with Arkansas. They don't necessarily have to be from here, but that they identify with this program and understand what kind of program and the history and tradition that's here, and that's where you start.
What's the week look like? The itinerary? What are you guys going to do for Thanksgiving meal? When you go down? All that kind of stuff.
You went lighthearted on me. You went from a real hard question to now for the week. Well, that's the easy part is the itinerary. Well, tonight I pushed practice back tonight, so we're not going to go on the field till about 8 o'clock tonight for class conflicts and to allow us as coaches some more time to game plan. Today is a Tuesday, even though it's a Monday, so this is a critical day. It's the introduction of the game plan and the general schemes that we anticipate using. And so we bought ourselves about 3 or 4 more hours this afternoon of prep time to make sure that when we get out there and we start preparing and talk to our players about how we're going to attack them this week, that it's not 50% done, it's not 75% done, it's 100% done for the base game plan. So we're going to do that tonight. Tomorrow will be a quick turnaround, back to normal time. Wednesday we're going to move it up just a little bit to allow the non-travel squad guys to get on the road and have Thanksgiving with their families. We're going to have Thanksgiving lunch here with all of our families and our players. Then we're going to load up and go to Little Rock.
Coach,
What's the challenge to the defense? You've had a lot of good moments defensively, but when the dam breaks, it breaks. How do you challenge them and get them ready for this weekend? And what are some of the positive things you've seen?
Well, I thought early on during the game the other day, I think we all saw a group that we were making some plays. We were rallying up, tackling. We had some TFLs, balls broken up, secondary making plays on the ball. I was really impressed early on with the way we were flying around and just competing. Obviously, we ran into I think you guys all see this. I mean, a fantastic offensive football team, even better in person than I thought. They were a whole lot more better, more intimidating, or not intimidating, impressive is the word, in person than they were on my couch watching the ESPN broadcast against Ole Miss the week before, because you see it on ground level and you see the length and the size of the wideouts and the power of the running back. We just, despite playing really hard and competing really hard early, we just got in some spots there that, we became vulnerable a little bit to a great offense. And so the challenge is what I said before. Let's gather that thing back up together and let's play our best defensive game that we played all year long for 60 minutes, eliminating those moments and those lapses where we may have a bust or we miss a tackle. We've got to eliminate and purge that for 60 minutes for us to play our best football game on defense. That's what we have to do on Friday afternoon. And so But yeah, I saw some moments there that was like, I was really impressed early on with the way we were playing, and then I think just ultimately physically we just kind of got worn down a little bit.
Coach, you recruit the state of Arkansas very heavily, and you have for a while. I think there were only maybe 6 in-state offers this past class for you guys. Do you see the trend of Arkansas high school football increasing, decreasing in talent level and development in high
No, I
school?
don't think it's decreased. I don't think it's changed a whole lot over the years. I think beauty's in the eye of the beholder a little bit, and I don't mean that negatively towards anybody that's been the head football coach here. I'm always going to be partial and biased towards kids that grow up in this state because I was one. If that's the correct grammar, I guess it's better than I are one. But I was one. And I grew up in this state, and Saturdays was about Razorback football, and that's all it was about. And when I got an opportunity to do it and to come here and live out a dream, I was vested. The community I came from was vested in my success, and I think that's always a really strong foundational point when you identify kids in this state that can help you. Again, that's not just saying finding the guy that can help you year 1. There's players that can help you maybe not until year 2 or year 3. And there's been a lot of those guys over the years here that when they've gotten their opportunity in year 2, year 3, they just took off. Now, does that mean that there's 15 guys a year in the state that can probably help us win SEC games? There's not. That would be an anomaly if that was the truth, if that ever happened. But is there a foundation of guys in this state that you can start and build around? There's no doubt in my mind. And that's going to be really important. It's always been important for me. We haven't necessarily gotten all those guys or gone after all those guys for whatever the circumstance. There's been quirky circumstances that have come up over the years where maybe we already have a commitment at the position, or we just weren't sure how to project him. And I think that's the job of the coach here, is you got to really look through and comb through the state, sift through the state really, really thoroughly, and find that diamond in the rough. I'm not saying there's 10 of them or 5 of them. There may just be 1 of them per year. But boy, you can't afford for them to go somewhere else and have a good career. You just can't. We need them here, and that's my belief, and it always will be my belief.
Coach, how do you go into this week as a staff, knowing big changes are on the way and that you all might not be together after this week?
Yeah, well, the likelihood of that is about 0. That we'll be intact and be working together, and we well understand that's part of the profession. I think it's really pretty easy. You do it for the players. I mean, that's why we got coaching. I said this in my presser, calling them pressers now. I guess I'm short. I'm getting more comfortable. After the game, is you don't get in coaching to strut around on the sideline and to say we won the game. You get in coaching to pour into the life of the guy that you're coaching, to give them the moments that you had as a player, to give them the opportunities to experience success that you had, or you give them the opportunities to advance through and persevere through disappointments like we have as players. That's why you get coaching. So I think you just got to look yourself in the mirror and say, well, I've got 5 days left. I may or may not be employed here in 5 or 6 days or 2 weeks or whatever. But really, at the end of the day, I got in this for these players, and so I owe it to them to give my very best, to give them the opportunity to win this football game on Friday afternoon for all the said reasons I talked about earlier. It's 1-12. It's an SEC game at home. Our seniors last day, we want to honor them. We've lost 18 games in a row in the SEC. If that can't get you ready, then as a player, as a coach, I don't know what can. And so I've been really pleased with the efforts of those coaches. This week, even in a quick turnaround, we're very focused on that. Short week helps that. There's there's not a lot of downtime right now. Not that there is in coaching in general, but in a quick week, I mean, you got to have laser focus and get this game plan going and get these players their best opportunity to play on Friday. So that's my answer to that one.
You were talking a minute ago about developing in-state guys that maybe aren't 4-stars or whatever. John David White had a couple nice catches the other night. What do you thought about him? And maybe he could be those guys you can develop and coach.
He epitomizes what I'm talking about. I mean, there's a guy that the Razorbacks run through his family deep, and who we got an opportunity to bring him here and turn down some scholarship offers at other places to come here and live his dream as a non-scholarship player. And that's a really critical factor here too. When you talk about Arkansas kids, not all those kids that can help you are going to be scholarship guys to begin with. They're not. In fact, a lot of them aren't. But those are the guys that you have to identify, like a John David White, a Jack Lindsay, who came here on their own dime. You got to identify those guys, and you got to give them an opportunity to come here. You got to make it known to them that they're important to the way you build this place, and you invest time in them. You don't wait till after signing date or a week before signing date and say, hey, if it doesn't work out for you, you want to come try to walk on. No, you recruit them, and you make them. The rules have really laxed in that area in the last few years, to where you actually have access to recruit non-scholarship players in a loose term. You can't go on there. You can't go see them at home. You can't bring them on an official visit. But there's things you can do to make them feel connected to this program and make them feel wanted in this program. And we did that with guys like Jack Lindsay and John David, the guys they can help. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier, just to clarify about, if there's 10 kids a year, well, 5 of them may be scholarship, 5 of them may not be able to help you until 2 or 3 years down the line, but you want them. And man, I couldn't be prouder for John David White. I mean, he epitomizes what it means to have Razorback spirit and legacy, and we can't get enough of guys like that.
In Little Rock, there's a lot of speculation in recent years about not playing there, but that seems to have calmed down. Just your experience growing up in the state, I mean, how do you feel about Little Rock? What do you expect, even though it's been a rough stretch, like you said, what do you expect from the crowd on Friday?
Well, I expect I shouldn't say I expect, I hope. I hope for our fans and the people that are on the fence about coming to this game, despite if the weather looks bad or if it's going to rain or the results of where we're at this year. I just hope that, like I said, on Friday afternoon, we'll have a football team and a fan base that will unite and really display that true Razorback spirit that we all know the state has. Even though despite the disappointments, the moments I've had there in Little Rock's a special place to me and my family. I mean, obviously my time in high school, I got a chance to play in a state championship game there. My senior year, my brother played in a state championship game there. My father coached in 11 state championship games in Little Rock. I was a part of 4 or 5 of those. Attended all the other ones. So that right there makes War Memorial a special place for me and my family. But then as my time as a Razorback, some of my greatest moments, not necessarily my greatest plays or my greatest games I played, but some of my greatest moments happened in that stadium. And I just want our guys to experience that on Friday. I want our guys to walk away from Friday afternoon to have their moment. And obviously the crowd and the support from our crowd is a huge part of that. And I've asked them, and I've talked about that on Saturday night, that's what I want them to show up. Not just show up, I want them to show up inside. And not just stay on the golf course. I want them to come inside. I want that hog walk to be an incredible experience and moment for them. But I also know that our fans, what they want in return is they want a football team that matches the spirit that they're going to bring. And that's my charge and my challenge.
Last one, Trey. Hey, Barry, just real quick, are you guys flying or busing down?
Busing.
And, okay, both ways.
Yeah.
And also, it's a 70% chance of rain. You like a sloppy track for this one?
Well, I think in the past we've flown back some, and just as for the time of getting back and the turnaround for next week. Obviously it being the last game of the year, that makes it obviously just common sense financially and just logistically just to take the buses there and back. That's the way I remember it, and I like it. I'm looking forward to getting on that bus on Friday with those police cars in front of us. Blood pumping. I'm excited about that. I really am. Because I get flooded with memories of doing the same thing as a player, and those are special memories for me, and I'm proud of that. And I want from the moment we step on that bus to the moment we get back on that bus for this to be an experience that these guys will remember. Rain, sleet, snow, fog, I don't know, fog bowl like the gate, what we played in North Carolina, the fog bowl. Is there any fog coming in? Okay, so we don't have to worry about the fog. 70% chance of rain, that means it's a 30% chance of sun, Trey. And that's what I'm going with, you know? Hey, grab a poncho. They're pretty cheap. Let's get a poncho and let's get in there and let's roll. That's what I would say. Let's see, let's let, is Ned Permy still on there? Is he still on there? Did he retire? I think he retired. We'll get Ned Permy to give us a better forecast as we get closer to the week down in Little Rock, and let's roll, you know? And so I think our guys are gonna be excited no matter what the weather is, and I hope our fans will be the same.
Thank you.